Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Gamer's Den. Today on the Cartoon Asylum. Last week, I made the video top 3 of my most hated Cartoon Network shows. Well, to balance that out, today we're going to look back at my top 5 most favorite Cartoon Network shows. Now, again, this is mostly opinionated. I know. If you have a favorite Cartoon Network show that didn't make it on the list, in the comments down below. Dispute it, all that good stuff. But let's get the number 5. And let's go get right into it and go on to number 5. Now, number 5 is, actually, you can't talk about one without the other, so both of them are on here. You have Courage, the Cowardly Dog, and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. These are both horror comedy kid shows. One has the cowardly little dog, Courage, and face his fears to protect his home and his two elderly owners from supernatural creeps and criminals and all that, and all kinds of other stuff. All, all with probably some of the most surreal imagery that you'll see in a kids show. While the Adventures of Billy and Mandy has the titular Billy and Mandy become the Grim Reaper's best friend for pretty much ever. Um, and fight off all sorts of spooky supernatural creatures and such, which is why I put them together. These two shows were some of the highlights back in the late 90s to early 2000s television for Cartoon Network viewers, because these two shows scared the shit out of you. But you always feel a little tougher after watching them, and you kept coming back even though it scared you, because these shows had some of the most charming characters. Courage and Muriel from Courage the Cowardly Dog are some of the most sweetest characters that you can find on the show. And let's face it, Billy's like maybe a little gross, but he's funny. Grim is just his dry wit. You just keep coming back for more. And Mandy, she's sadistic, and I love it. Now these characters, of course, are the bulk of the show. Um, you of course have your main villains and everything, but they're number 5 because of their scary factor. I don't really put much stock in scare, but they did get that number 5 slot, so keep that in mind. Also, again, has to be Cartoon Network original. So make that perfectly clear. As much as I love the Pokemon on here, they started out before Cartoon Network. Um, but I'm gonna try and do Cartoon Network only shows, mind you. So number 4, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. My God, what can I say about this show that hasn't already been said? Craig McCracken did an awesome job with this show. Some of my favorite characters, of course, are Wilt, and Eduardo and Coco. These three are just like, if they make a Wilt pop, I'm going to get it. I like Eduardo, but I'm not really going to get a pop of him. Blue is really cool, it's a little annoying. Some of the side characters are really cool as well. Really hoping that um to see more from this show. Of course, I'd love to see any of these shows come back in some way, shape, or form. Just not in a reboot. Um, there's a reason I put this one on the list, because this show just like, this one just hits me so hard right here, because it was during the time right before the big purge of Cartoon Network at the time. Um, and eventually we got 2008, and we don't speak of that time. Speak of it ever. However, there's a reason it's number 4. A few things help. There's just a few things, a few, like, I hadn't watched every episode. So, well, yeah, I love it. there's just certain aspects of it I haven't fully embraced yet. I haven't seen an episode with goo in it. I haven't seen. I think I've only seen like cheese in one specific episode. So I don't really know fully about him. And I think it was a later episode afterwards, so I don't really know too much about him and everything. So, unfortunately, it's held back not because I don't like it as much as I do like it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be number 4. But I haven't watched enough of it that I can make and give it a higher ranking. Well, I've just watched these other shows a little bit more. So, number 3. Now, this one might surprise y'all, but I put Dexter's Lab here. Now, most people might not expect Dexter's Lab. I mean, sure, it's a good show, but why is it number 3? Well, because when I was growing up, one of the first shows I watched from Cartoon Network was this one. And Dexter's Lab, let's face it, I was him growing up. Yeah, I had a younger sister and an older sister, but I always had a sister that was always giving me, always bugging me and everything. I related to that. No, I didn't have no secret lab, but I did love the character. His mom is awesome. His dad's just super funny. Reminds me of my dad. Um, and while Dee Dee is annoying, she comes through for her little brother. Mandark is an awesome villain, but there are just a couple of shows that kind of beat it to that punch. Number 2, um, this one was a tough call. Number 2 was a tough call. Number 1 was easy. Number 2 was a very tough call. Do I put one or do I put the other? So I didn't. So I chose. Cause I only wanted the one to be like that this time. But number 2 is Codename Kids Next Door. Now this show, my God, anyone who watched this show growing up, any single kid, even today, would love to be part of the KND. And honestly, with I think there should be adult operatives in KND, secret adult operatives. If there's teenager ones, why not adult ones? They're fighting evil adults. Not all adults are evil, as evidenced by Nigel Who Knows Dad, aka number one. But even if me and Leo can't become KND operatives, the show is awesome. Number 4 and number 5 are some of my favorite characters from Cartoon Network. I love number 2. He's funny. Number 1 is an awesome leader. And some of the villains, holy crap. But number 3, I like number 3. Don't get me wrong, she's an awesome character. But she's extremely annoying. But she gets the job done. So, unlike other annoying characters from Cartoon Network and beyond, she gets stuff done. She's one of those rare occasions. And she does have a volatile side, so I always thought that was kind of cool. But other than that, the villains are what sell this show for me. Fighting off these villains would be super freaking hilarious and fun. Um, but with that being said, before we keep reaching number 1, we have to do some honorable mentions. Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo, I would have been on the list if it was a top 10. He would have been number 10 because I remember watching a bunch of this show. I loved this guy. Nowadays, if you try making this show nowadays, everybody would be knocking at your door. But I digress. Powerpuff Girls. This was actually going to be my number 2 slot before I picked A&D. And I loved watching the Powerpuff Girls growing up. Hating what's happened to the show. I really do. But what can I say? I can't really do anything with that. Star Wars The Clone Wars. Yes. This technically aired first on Cartoon Network. Actually, both versions of the Clone Wars series did. The one that was 2D animated and the one that most people know, the 3D animated one. Both of which are on Disney Plus now. Um, but I love this show. I really do. I couldn't put it on the list because of other shows that I like more. Cow and Chicken, awesome show. Don't really care for the red guy, but who really does? It's the devil character. There's a lot of characters like that back in Cartoon Network's past. Jesus Christ. Any Scooby Doo, Tom and Jerry, or Looney Tunes stuff. They were cool, but not every single one of them aired on Cartoon Network first. And those that did, I'm not a terrible big fan of, or I'm okay with, like Mystery Incorporated. I do like it. It's just too dark for my Scooby Doo. It's not really what I really want. And I hadn't really seen anything for Be Cool Scooby Doo or Guess Who, Scooby Doo and Guess Who. So I can't really make a definitive yay or nay on either one. Our style aside, I'm here for the story. I'm here for the creatures, you know. But with that being said, what do you think's my number one slot? Oh, there's one other show that I have to mention. Generator Rex. That's another honorable mention. This show was good, but I think right there I kind of gave it away with my number one slot. There was one other show that they made that the guys at Man of Action made. These four guys didn't just make Generator Rex. Probably one of the most badass kids on Cartoon Network at the time of me growing up. I was around that demographic in the early 2000s of watching Ben 10. And that's the show, Ben 10. And I love all of his incarnations, from the original show to Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, Omniverse, and the reboot. The reboot actually did what the other reboots didn't. It actually did good. It was more comedy focused, yes, but it did something the others didn't. It actually gave some plot. It actually gave some story. And it actually did something that the others really didn't have the balls to do. Improve a little bit on the original idea. For instance, this Ben 10 reboot did something the original run the show from the original very first episode of the first series to Omniverse never had the balls to do. They gave Ben in the reboot during season 3, I think, a Vilgax form called Gax. Wow. And you never thought of doing that? I get it. Ghost Freak and Amphibian had some problems. And he doesn't know what's going to happen if he scans them. And I guess he never really wanted to be Vilgax. But, come on, using Vilgax's powers against him? No wonder the reboot. I like the reboot pretty good. It did something. It improved upon the original design of the characters. And that's another thing. The characters, from the main Ben crew to the villains. You've got some of the most awesome characters and most relatable characters too. Ben grows up as the series progresses and honestly matures pretty good. He's still a kid and he still makes mistakes even as he's becoming 17 and 18. There's another reason I put this to show at number one. The aliens. Being able to transform into any hero, be ready for any situation, but there is a limiting factor. Not every alien is suited for every job. He blasts as good with fire, like putting out fires, and well, you know, taking out and giving some much needed heat relief. But he's not really suited for cold weather. Well, he might be, or water-based elements. Likewise, Ripjaw is the exact opposite. He's good for water attacks and water rescue, but he's not really good on land for very long. And so on and so forth. Every hero has their limitations, but they also have their strengths. And Ben has to, couple that. And the third reason this show has stuck with me, because I watched a lot of premieres when it was coming out. I watched quite a bit of Cartoon Network at the time, but this was the one that had the most premieres. I saw the Ditto episode when it first released, which was super cool, by the way, guys. Seeing that come to life was awesome. And, well, it's Ditto. And the fact that it was Rob Paulsen who did it was just awesome. The voice of Yakko and Pinky was just funny coming out of Ditto's mouth. Um, I watched both live action movies when they first released. I think. I know I watched the second one with Alien Force, but I don't remember if I did the first one. I'm pretty sure I did though. Ultimate Alien premiere. Watch that. Super cool. Um, and so on and so forth. I watched a couple of premiere episodes. I watched the first animated movie when it first came out, when with the introduction of Way Big, which was super cool, guys. Super freaking awesome. But Ben 10 has stuck with me, and so has a lot of other Cartoon Network shows. Let's face it, guys. Cartoon Network is and will always be part of my life. Um, but yeah, guys, go down in the comments down below and tell me what you think of my list. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications for future videos. I am so sorry, guys. I am so sorry. That gives me an idea for another show, for another episode. But I'm not going to spoil it yet. But that being said, guys, it's been a Gamers In. I've been Kane Lupus. Y'all been awesome. Again, I apologize for that. Got some allergy season is in full swing, so yikes. Hope to see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time. Bye.